Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another interesting episode of Little Slaw YouTube channel. So today in this video, we are going to see about the effort estimation template. So how much effort do we require as a performance engineer, and what are the areas that we have to touch? Say, for example, uh, we'll have to touch the scope of performance testing and how much time does it take for the test environment setup, and how much time does it take for test planning and test design, for test execution, for monitoring and analysis, and for reporting, for review and retrospective, and contingency, and the total effort. So we are going to discuss all of these, and then I will let you know. So again, this is a kind of a template, so you can add or remove or you can edit based on your requirements. So I will just explain you how should you come up with this template, and I will take you through each and every part of the performance testing effort estimate template. And before we move on to this video, this is me, your Vasan Shanmugam. I welcome you all to our Little Sly YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and please do join my channel for more quality content like this. And give a thumbs up if you like this video, and share the video with your friends. And yeah, like again, I request you to join my channel if you haven't joined it yet. Okay. And yeah, moving on to the first part. So now I will take you through the performance testing effort estimate, right? So this is a template, so I don't want to add that here. Let me expand it. So this is going to be a performance testing and effort estimate template, right? Effort estimation, you can change it to any way. And then moving on to the second page, control enter. So now in the second page, let me bring it down to 12. So the first part is your project information, and I will change to heading 1, and then I'll make it to 1. Yep. So now we are in the project information. So what do we need to add in the project information? Let me insert a table. Yep. And here you should add your project name. And in this case, I'm just adding it like uh, e-commerce e-commerce website performance testing. And then the project manager, you can add your project manager name. And then so whichever I leave it blank, please fill it based on your project. And then the testing start date, what date are you going to start your test, which is your activities in terms of your performance testing. And then the testing end date. So this must come in your first column, in your first table. And then moving on to the second part, which is your scope of performance testing. So what should or what will be the scope of your performance testing? Let me format this here. Yep. So now I've got scope of performance testing, and then under the scope of performance testing, let me add again this one. So here the application or module to be tested. So in case if you have like a lot of areas, you can add them. So for now, I'm just adding it like user login, and then product search, filtering product, and then shopping cart, checkout process. So these are in this example. So I'm going to test these areas to be tested, and then the types of performance testing. So another types of performance testing. I'm going to do a load testing. Let me number it out. So I'm going to do a load testing with 1000 concurrent users. The second one is going to be stress testing to identify the breaking point. So I don't have any as a main load for this. And then the soak testing, which will be like for 8 hours continuous load. So you can add based on your requirement here again. And then for the spike testing, I'm going to add from 1000 to 20,000 users. So this is about the types of performance testing which I'm going to conduct as part of my project. And then the performance goals, or in other terms we call it as SLA, the service level agreements. So the SLAs, it's so the page load time or the response time, I would say it is less than 2 seconds. It can be anything, it can be even 3 seconds, or it can be even 500 milliseconds. So it all depends on your requirement, but this is what I'm going to add as part of the uh, my effort estimation plan. So the handle, so how many users I'm going to handle? I'm going to handle 1000 concurrent users. And then yep, so and then for the checkout process, I'm setting the SLA to be like less than 5 seconds. So these are the scope of my performance testing, so I should get this done. So that is what my plan for now. And then moving on to the third part, which is test environment setup. So this is a little important, so please do watch this part for sure. So under this test environment setup, I'll have to set up the let me just take you through that part here. So let me add a table for now. And yep, here. So the first part is I'll add what are the tasks that I have to do, and then the estimated hours. So from here I'll be adding the hours, the amount of hours that is required, and how many resources do we require. So this will be very helpful for you. And for the environment setup, I would need 2 hours, and I would need one system administrator. And then for the tool configuration, the estimated hours is 4 hours, and I would need one performance engineer. And then the for the data preparation, I would need 4 estimated hours. So it all depends on, like, so in case if you think that you would need more hours, then you can change it, you can add it accordingly. And for the data preparation, yep, like I told you, I would need 4 hours, and one performance engineer would be required for that. So totally I would, for this particular phase of my testing, so I would need totally 10 hours with one system engineer and one performance engineer. And then moving on to the fourth part, which is the test planning and design. So coming to the test planning and design part, let me take you through the task first. So I would need, yeah, so the task, and then the estimated hours, and then the resources required. So the first task is I would need the time for requirement analysis, and I believe I would require 6 hours. And I need one performance test lead. So this requirement analysis should be done by a performance test lead, right? And with an experienced a performance test person. And then the test plan creation. So this I would need 8 hours, just one full day, or I would tell it as like an 8 story point, and then sorry, 5 story point in Jira. And then it would require one performance test lead again, and then the test case design. So again, it would take 8 estimated hours, which is again 5 story points. So for this test case design, I would need two performance test engineers. And in case if you have one performance engineer, then you would need 16 hours, because I'm giving the estimated hours like 8, and then the resources is two performance engineers. And then for the scripting, for the script development, I would need 16 estimated hours and two performance test engineers. So yeah, just to confirm, so since this is one user, I have added 6 hours, and again this for the test plan creation, it is again 1 hour. And for the test case design, I may have mentioned as like 8 hours, but it is 8 hours per person. So let me change it here so that there won't be any confusion. So it is 8 hours for each person. And again, same way here, it will be like for the script development, it should be 32 hours. And again, this is for my scope. So just increase or decrease the amount of time that you would need for each resource. So totally, I would need 62 person hours. So that's very important. So again, let me even update it here. So I would need, so since in this test environment setup, it's just only one person. So I have mentioned like as like one. So it will be like 10% hours. And then for the fourth phase, which is test planning and design, I would need 62 person hours. And then moving on to the fifth one, which is test execution. So let's see how much time or how much effort do we need for the test execution. And here I have, so it all depends like how many what type of test execution do we need. So you can update or remove or you can edit it based on your requirements. So for now in this one, the task and then the total person hours and the resources assigned or the required resources. Let me bring it to the next page so there won't be any confusion. Yep. See, sorry. Control enter. Yep. So now we are in the test execution phase, and for the initial test runner, I would say the smoke test. For example, I'm taking like 8 hours since you will be having multiple scripts. So that is the reason behind it. So I'm going to use two performance test engineers with 4 hours each. So since you have like multiple tests, you'll have to first run them alone, unit doing like kind of a unit performance testing, and then you'll have to do a smoke test with all the scripts combined. So you would need 8 hours in total, and which is like 4 hours per person, so just like about 8 hours. And then the load test execution, which is basically the load test. So I have added 16 hours. So it all depends on how many runs you're going to do and how many tests you're going to run. So this is for an example, I'm adding it. So it's again two performance test engineers, each with 8 hours, right? Sorry, 8 hours each. And then the stress test execution, which will again take 16 hours. So in fact, in the load test execution, it's all about informing the stakeholders that are going to run the test, make sure the environment is available, and keep your system testing ready and prepare your scenarios, preparing your load and everything. So this all involves all these time, right? Just like hardly you should run only one test per day. So that is the expectation. And then again, the stress testing, it again involves the same thing. And then okay, it again the stress testing it will run for a maximum of until that the application breaks. So it can take more even more time than this, or even it can break below this time. So this I have added a little bit of buffer because you might be asked to run multiple iterations. So having that in mind, I have added given this time here. And then for the soak test execution, I would add 32 hours. So for the soak test, we would need a long duration of test, like for 8 hours or so. So two performance test engineers with 16 hours each. So just considering an 8 hours test. So for that, you would need to collect data. You will have to accordingly keep it. You have to inform all the stakeholders to keep the system refrained from other environments. So you have to do all these, and that is what is the expectation. So it all involves like so one person can do one soak test execution one day. So if you have like 2 person, then you can do a run two execution per day. So that's the plan. And then finally the spike test execution. So in case if you have spike test execution in your plan, you can add this very well. So 16 hours with again two performance test engineers with 8 hours each. That's a plan. And totally, how much time do you need for completing your test executions? That's most of the time you will get that question, right? How many time or how much days you would need? So 86 hours, which is 88 hours, which is roughly 11 days. If it is one person, if it's like 2 person, then it will be like around 5 days or so. And then the next part, the most critical one, which is the monitoring and analysis. So for monitoring analysis, again, this will be like part of your testing, but still I'm adding this in the amount of effort that one would need because for monitoring, yeah, so that comes alongside your testing, but then again for the log collection, for the data analysis, you would need some time. So I'm adding that again here. Let me add a table, and then the task total person hours resources assigned. So first thing is real time monitoring. So as I said, you will be monitoring this along with your test. So you can have this or you can remove it in case if you think that this can be done along with your testing. So I'm adding like two performance test engineers with 16 hours each, and then the log collection, which will take 16 hours for sure. I know how much, how many tools you have to run behind, and then you have to collect the logs. You have to collect the exact log or the actual log. So that will take a lot of time. So I'm adding 16 hours, 16 difficult hours, I would say. So it's like two performance test engineers, each would take 8 hours each. And then finally, the data analysis. Again, this is the most critical part. You have to come up with the proper data. So I would give even more time, but still 32 hours, which is like for 2%, it is like 2 days is required for this one. And even I would, like I said, I can even add more time for this. But if you are like more experienced, then I would say this is the maximum amount of time that you would need. And in case if you have like tools like APM, tools like Dynatrace or other tools, it'll be very helpful for you. Like they give you the result analysis by using their AI results. So I would need totally 80 person hours for the monitoring and analysis. And then moving on to the next part, which is the reporting. Again, like I said, I will say even this is more important because yes, this is quite important in terms of your performance testing, the reporting part. So when it comes to reporting, I have few tasks. Let me add it here. So the task and then the total person hours resources assigned. So the report generation will take 8 hours. One performance test lead is required for this, not performance test engineers. A lead is required for the report generation. And for the results review, so you're almost towards your sign off part. So for the results review, you would need 4 hours. Again, I would recommend a performance test lead should do this. And then moving on to the recommendations. So again, this is a best place for any performance test engineer to learn. But again, this has to be presented by the performance test lead, and I would advise him to take maximum amount of time for this to complete. So the total amount of time is 16 hours, which I would say hardly 2 days for the report generation, for the results review, for the recommendations and all the part. And then moving on to the next part, which is the review and retrospective. Let me format this here. Yep. So with this one, let me bring the table. So what do I need? So the task, total person hours, and then the resources, right? So firstly, the review meeting. Yep, and it will take 4 hours. All the questions will be asked to the performance test lead. One engineer can be a developer, so it needs 2 hours each. And then the retrospective analysis, where there will be question towards the analysis part, and this will definitely need more time because you have to come up with the proper answers for all the reasons of the high response time or for the bottlenecks. So the performance test lead and one engineer will be required, and they would need to dedicate 2 hours each. 4 hours each. 4 hours each, and then the next part is the process improvement. And for this process improvement, they would need 8 hours. Who are required for this? So one performance test lead is required and one engineer is required. So 4 hours each. Yep. And then the ninth part, which is the contingency part. So what is required in the contingency? Before that, let me just move this to the next page, and let me get this part here. So the contingency. Yep, I think I missed an N. Yep, so contingency. So what do you do in the contingency part? Let me add a table and we'll explain it to you. Task total, person hours, resources assigned, right? So unexpected issues. In case if you have any unexpected issues, I have an 8 hours of time and I would need one performance test engineer for this, and then for additional testing. So in case if I have to add any, or if I have to do any additional testing, I would need 8 hours for this and one performance test engineer for this. So how much hours? Okay, I really missed this part here. So I would need a total of 20 hours for review and retrospective, and for contingency, I would need a total of 16 person hours, right? And then finally, the total effort is total estimated hours is 332% hours, and then the total resources required is one performance test lead, two performance test engineers, and one system administrator and one engineer as well. So I would need at least like five resources for this. And then an additional notes, I have added a buffer time. So please don't include this. I'm just adding to it for you. So I am added 10% buffer for unexpected delay. So it's what my team lead always advised me, just to add 10 to 15% of buffer time, so that you won't be in a situation where you could not complete things on time. And then the historical data, where the estimates refined based on the past project data. And then finally the team collaboration. So you have to estimate and validate all these effort after collaborating with the team. That's the expectation. Estimated, estimates validated through team discussion. That's it. So, yep, this format will clarify the total effort in person hours for each task, accounting for the number of people involved, and this should help you and your team understand and manage the workload effectively. So, with that, I come to an end, and I believe this video would be very useful to you. So, I in fact will upload this for your reference. So, let me go back to my github.com, and where do I do it? Let me open one of my repos. Uh, what about performance testing prep? Yep, I'll go to the performance testing prep. Let me save this file. C drive. Okay, sorry. Let me go to the browse. C drive, Sant. Yep. And then the effort estimate template. Oh, it's for performance testing, right? So performance testing effort estimate template. Yep. And then let me drag it to the Git. So I have the file here. Let me add the file. Let me upload the file for you. And here is the file. Oh, this is my logo. Yep. Here it is. Yep. Added performance testing effort estimate template. So here in the performance testing prep, inside my uh, repository can collect it. I'll even add this file for you so that you can download it and use it. So thanks again for watching the entire video, and I'll meet you in our next video. Until then, it's bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and your favorite little slide channel. Take care and bye bye.